Okay, I wanted to talk to you again about the informative presentation, which is going to be your next actual presentation that you make in this class as we're entering this online transition, which I had actually assigned to you just before break. I gave you a handout then in the last class before break. I did discuss it some, but that was a confusing time, and a lot has changed since as far as where you are and what you're doing. So I wanted to go over it again, and I want to let you know that I have made a couple changes. I had only just quickly adjusted that from a very different kind of assignment than just before break, and I fine-tuned a little more. The key thing that I've changed, though, is this idea. The idea that I want you to submit essentially your idea for the presentation. In particular, a labeled specific purpose statement and a labeled central thesis, which should give me everything I need to know about that presentation as far as like the idea stage. So in other words, it's your topic, but more than just your topic. Now it's been specified, it's been focused, and you've developed your central thesis too, and you've labeled those things too. Now you're gonna carry those things on and give them to me again later with some more paperwork too. But in this case, in the beginning, due Tuesday, March 31st, is just that idea, which will still give you like a week and a half to prepare for the presentation. I think you probably should have these things done even sooner than that. But what I'm really worried about is, especially without us being there to talk with each other, is that the informative presentation, that you'll spend too much time mulling over what you're going to do, what your topic is going to be, and use up too much time you should be using to research the topic and create and construct the presentation. Because then remember, the actual due date for the recorded speech that you submit on Moodle would be Thursday, April 9th. Also that day, and this is detailed here in this instructions, I want you to create a full preparation outline, and you're going to submit as part of that, resubmit as part of that, this labeled SPS and CT. But you also have a bibliography at that time too, and there's more detail below. So about topics and picking topics. Remember, your informative presentation must be on a topic related to linguistics, which is the study of language, which is, let's say there's hundreds of possible speech topics, there's probably hundreds of thousands of possible speech topics in this category. And again, to remind you, that why did I do this to you? Why did I make you have to do something about language? You don't know anything about linguistics? Well, maybe you do. It doesn't matter, though. In fact, it's almost better that you don't. When you're doing a presentation on a topic that you don't know much about and have to learn, that tends to push you towards the informative presentation anyway, because you don't have as many opinions about it. You're not saying what's right or wrong, or you're not trying to persuade people to change. You're just learning about it, and now you're just teaching about it. That's what it comes down to. So how are you going to find these ideas? You could brainstorm ideas, topics related to varieties of languages, like languages that come from different places, how they differ, how languages change over time, how things like sign languages, how foreign words work, nonverbal communication you could do, parts of language, parts of words, way grammar changes, handwriting as a part of language, handwriting analysis, maybe writing a script versus printing, dying languages, new languages, major figures in linguistics, famous people in linguistics, speech patterns, speech problems, speech therapy. It just goes on and on. And any one of those would have to be focused much more, though, of course, right? That's the thing. It's not just a general idea to come up, but now really focus it down. And to do that, you have to do some research. And there's also many research areas in interdisciplinary fields that relate to linguistics, such as evolutionary linguistics, language acquisition, which has to do with how children learn language, biolinguistics. You go on and on. And these topics, as I said, would have to be further focused. Some resources you could use. If you are still on campus, I encourage you to go into 114, and on our shelf there in the lab, I put a number of linguistics textbooks. That's a good place to start. Or go to a library and find some linguistics textbooks if there's any libraries open anymore. Or go online and look through. Actually, you can find some textbooks online. And you can just look through them and find general ideas. On the other hand, a quick Google search will get you started in your brainstorming. About his libraries and asking for a librarian for help, there probably are online help I believe, from the library here in Feinberg. So that would be one way to do it. It is true that researching topics is going to be a little harder than it used to be for some things, topics in general, not just this one, because of your inability to actually go to a library and sit down with a librarian. However, you can connect with a librarian via phone or chat or email at Feinberg and do it that way. So one way or the other, through any number of these resources, you're going to find and then focus your topic so you have a good topic for your speech and one to learn about. And I know the problems that there's going to be with research. I just ask you to do your best, as we all are trying to do as we continue forward into this area. And so what will you need to create from all this? You're going to create an outline after finding and focusing your topic, a preparation outline. You'll submit it on speech day. In other words, you'll put it in the Moodle Dropbox, the same one where you put your video of your speech that you make. Chapter 11, which you should be reading now or soon, which was assigned, has a whole bunch of information about how to make a preparation outline. I really suggest you use that directly. As parts of the same document, again, your general purpose you should list, your specific purpose statement you should list, you should label it, your central thesis you should list and you should label, but you would have done that already and maybe had some feedback from me also. The presentation itself, the document that you're going to create, is going to start with an introduction. And I'm suggesting you write out your introduction. It's not like you're going to memorize it, but you write out what you're planning to say. And within that paragraph, for instance, as you write, do label your attention-getting devices. I want you to use at least 3. Do label the needs step. We call it the needs step. The idea of calling it a step will make more sense a little later when we go into a new theory, especially heading into persuasion. The needs idea is where informative presentations become persuasive, because you're persuading us that we need to know this information, that it's important, it's relevant, it has to do with us, that it's interesting at least. And you're going to use sources, at least 2 sources, to do that. You did something very similar in your introduction presentation. Then you're going to have a preview statement. Of course, you're going to signpost the preview statement and tell us what are the main ideas that are going to come up that you're going to talk about. And as I said, you're going to write this out. I have actually duplicated that for some reason and write it out twice. I'm not just suggesting it, I'm saying to do it. Then there's the body of your outline. Proper visual formats, Roman numerals, letters, and so on, points, subpoints. And it should be these ideas, things you write for these main ideas and these sub-ideas and so on, they all should be full sentences. And also include in there, where they're going to be appropriate, the sources you're going to use, and also what you're going to take from that source. What is important that you say from that source. Here, you don't have to do a bibliography APA citation. Here, you're just going to represent the source in the way you're going to use it. For instance, you say that from this article written by so-and-so in this place at this time, and you have to give at least 2 bits of information to qualify each source. It might be what when it was written. It might be something about their expertise or where they teach, for instance, if it's an academic source. It might be that the magazine or the journal or the article or the website it comes from is authoritative about it in some way. So you're going to find at least 2 pieces of information to go along with the source to qualify the source there. And you want to have at least 1 source for each main idea, and probably more than 1 in some cases. So the number of sources you have total, to some degree, depends on the number of main ideas. Then the conclusion, as you did for the introduction, I'm asking you to write the conclusion out in paragraph form. Again, you won't memorize it, and it will probably be shorter. Remember, the conclusion is supposed to signal the end by referring back to your beginning, maybe. It could have something similar, echo of the attention-getting devices, perhaps. There could be a quotation, for instance. We're going to reinforce the content, but don't just repeat it. And ideally, you have a clincher, that dramatic ending, that crystallizing comment, or something else that really hammers things home. Remember here, we're just trying to make sure they walk away with a certain amount of information, that at least the main ideas, people walked away with that from it. And then finally, you're going to have your bibliography. This is all in the paperwork. as you're preparing this and the research and so on. The bibliography is going to use APA format. See Chapter 7 for directions. You need at least 6 sources total. It can be websites, magazine articles, journal articles, books, textbooks, whatever. And the delivery, to prepare for delivery, you're going to take that presentation outline or preparation outline. Sometimes I call it presentation, sometimes I call it preparation. I think your book calls it preparation. That's what I mean, the preparation outline, the big outline, the main that you're going to be handing in on paper. You can convert it into a speaking outline, which is what is on the cards. Now about cards. There are extra cards in 114. If you are on campus or around town, you certainly can get them there. And if you are, on the other hand, you could get in touch with me and I could give you cards if you don't have cards. Otherwise, you'll have to go buy your own cards. I strongly suggest they be blank cards. Remember, you only write on one side of the cards and look at all the other rules about the cards. Make sure they're the same size that we use in class. So, in general, yes, you're going to be creating cards, index cards to go along with this because there's a lot of information. And there's going to be a number of index cards that you're going to be using during your presentation, I would guess. And then practice. Remember, just because we aren't doing in person doesn't mean you don't practice as much as you can. And then you're going to video it. The video recording, you could record yourself, set up your phone, or if you have a camcorder or something, even better. And just make sure you're both close enough so we get pretty good sound, but far enough away so we see most of, if not all of your body, how you're standing there. Or probably a little easier if you have somebody else hold the camera or the phone for you. So you're probably going to be doing essentially a vertical with a phone to see all of you. Do your best to get good audio, but I know we're going to have to deal with conditions that we have. Your recording cannot be edited in any way. Now, this will be the first one that we're trying to use Moodle to upload, and depending on the file sizes, for 4 to 6 minutes of time, and this is supposed to be a 4 to 6 minute presentation. Maybe we'll be able to do that. Maybe we won't. We'll have to see how this goes. If the drop boxes won't handle the files, then I'll ask you to put it on a Google Drive and share that with me. Share the file with me. On the other hand, if we have some problem with that, I'll ask you to put it up on YouTube and give me the link to it. So one way or the other, we'll do that. And I don't know, I guess I'll wait to talk to people. If people want these to be displayed for other students, we may be able to do that. Honestly, at this point, I'm focused on getting this class together and done. We'll see about that part of it, although it was a very good suggestion that Ambreen had in our class, our last class. I understand. I also feel the absence of having people together, but you know, it is what it is at this point, so we have to do our best to get through the material. So I hope this works out for you. Let me know about questions and comments, and I'm looking forward to your informative presentations.